this idea of controlling your emotions turns out to be dangerous. Because since you all know on a practical basis you can't do it, there's also a reality that emotions are energy. And you think about, you feel angry. That's where people can mostly recognize. They feel angry, they want to do something. They want to call somebody, or they want to yell at the driver that's just cut them off. And all emotions are really energy. So what happens is when you try to ignore them, you try to repress them, you try to set them aside, try to pretend they're not there, that energy is really trying to give you information and motivation, and it is going to come out. It's actually there to work in your best interest, and it is going to get your attention. Now, the way it's going to get your attention, if you're trying to control it, is it's going to hit the mouse. I mean, all of a sudden, you're going to, I have a trader that I coached, I was talking to on Friday, and he said, Denise, I came in Friday morning, I was going to open my charts, I was going to watch the market for the first hour, I opened my email, and I got an email that annoyed me from something, and I reached up, the next thing I knew, I was in a position. Well, what happened in that case is his annoyance at whatever was in that email was an irritation, and a need to do something with that irritation, and so the energy of that irritation went, I'm going to take a trade. And then he was like, why did I do that for? I mean, I just said I was going to watch the market for the first hour. Well, that was an amount of emotional energy from another situation that then translated itself into being able, you always want to take action when something annoys you and you have a feeling of annoyance. You want to be able to do something. Well, he couldn't do anything about the email, so the action went into the impulse trade. And then he's mad at himself because he's like, how did I do that? I just played. So, well, of course, what does he do? He tries to get it back right away, which is then a second. And then he's like, and then the third, fourth, and the third, fifth one, and sixth one, and then he's completely out of control. The trick is in his case, and in anyone's case, catching that sensation of energy, and if you think about it, all emotions you feel somewhere, underneath your chin for the most part, if you learn to notice it, catch it, then you can make a choice about what to do with it. Is it giving you information about the market? Are you annoyed or agitated enough that you need to get out of the room? Are you a little nervous and you can say, okay, I'm a little nervous, I'm going to get stopped out, but I know where my stop is, I know what my risk is, and then you can deal with it because you've looked at and addressed the energy directly as opposed to trying to sit it over here. So I actually think, to summarize this slide, that the admonition to control your emotions is dangerous and is actually the biggest source of impulse trading because it's not working with an accurate model of the way we're built as humans and the way our brain is set up. It's not. It's asking you to be a computer. It's asking you to be a robot. Never going to happen. And it leads to all sorts of other emotions and all sorts of other frustrations and all sorts of other impulse trades. Where if you look at the emotions in a completely different way, go to handle them in a completely different way, you don't go down that same path. Now, as usual, I get a little bit ahead of myself. But the bottom line is, from my perspective, any impulse trade, any trade outside of your plan, as we said, any impulse trade happens because of an emotion that's either unconscious, you don't know you've got it at the time, or you may know you've got it, but it's not managed. It's shoved aside. You've tried to overpower it. You've tried to control it. You've tried to ignore it. So the bottom line is if all impulse trades are coming from emotions that you either don't know or trying not to have, then what's the solution?